There are two kinds of women in a man's life. The first is the woman he enjoys immensely. With her, the conversation flows effortlessly. He laughs, feels instantly connected, and the chemistry is undeniable. It's the perfect date. She's fascinating, smart, witty, a living dream. Every moment with her is a delight. Then there's the second type. She isn't just someone he has fun with. She's the one he can't get out of his mind. When she's not around, she becomes an echo in his thoughts, an open question lingering in the background, a melody replaying in his mind while he's driving, working, or lying in bed at night. She isn't just a pleasant memory, she's a present absence. The first woman might get a polite text the next day. "Hey, yesterday was great." The second, she's the reason he checks his phone every 5 minutes. Rick reads their messages and wonders why she hasn't replied yet. She makes him think. She makes him wonder. She makes him want. Today, I'm not here to teach you how to be the perfect date. I'm here to teach you how to become the second woman, the one he can't stop thinking about. Here's the truth. That feeling of, I gave him everything, and he still pulled away, isn't failure. It's a sign you've been following the wrong script. A script handed down for generations that says being overly nice, constantly available, and completely transparent will win his heart. In reality, that's often the very reason attraction fades. Think about it. Why do the most captivating characters in stories stay with us? Why do we obsess over the ones with contradictions, depth, and a touch of mystery? Because human nature, especially the male mind in matters of attraction, doesn't place high value on what feels too certain. They are wired to chase what feels valuable, and in romance, that value is measured in one specific currency: uncertainty. What I'm about to share isn't a set of shallow, play hard to get tricks. That's child's play. This goes far deeper. It's a psychological approach I call the mirage effect. A mirage is an illusion. It appears real, almost within reach, but remains just out of grasp, pulling you toward it. When you're with him, you become that oasis in the desert, vibrant, engaging, unforgettable. But when you leave, you transform into the mirage, still vivid in his mind, are yet elusive enough that he can't stop thinking about you. Not because you need him, but because he needs to know if you're truly real. The first rule: for someone to miss you, they must first have the space to feel your absence. If you fill every moment, answer every message instantly, and remove all mystery, you deny him the very thing that fuels desire, longing. So, are you ready to stop being predictable? Are you ready to become the question he can't answer? Stay with me, because what comes next will change the way he sees you forever. You laughed together, locked eyes, and felt that spark, that electric tension that whispers this could be something special. You said goodbye believing there was real potential. You were yourself, open, honest, witty, even a little vulnerable. And then silence. Or worse, a lukewarm echo. His replies became slow, short, and indifferent. The connection you felt began slipping through your fingers, and you had no idea why. That's when the mental storm starts. You replay every conversation. You wonder, what did I do wrong? Did I say something off? Was I not interesting enough? You dissect every detail until you're mentally exhausted. And worst of all, your self-worth starts to crumble. But here's the truth. The answer isn't hiding under the microscope you're using to examine yourself. It's visible only through the telescope, the bigger picture. The problem isn't that you did something wrong. The problem might be that you did everything too right. You were too clear, too available, too present, and without realizing it, you erased the single most powerful element of attraction: mystery. Think of it like a movie. If you reveal the entire plot, every twist, and the ending in the first 10 minutes, why should anyone stay until the credits? Even if the trailer was amazing, the story feels over before it begins. That's how attraction works. When you give everything right away, you leave nothing for his imagination to chase. This is where we rewrite the script. By the time you finish this, you'll understand why men often pull away just when things seem most intense. And you'll know how to use that very distance to your advantage. You'll learn to leave intentional spaces, not empty with neglect, but filled with his thoughts of you. You'll discover the art of balancing your presence with your absence, and why that absence becomes your most potent tool. Because here's the paradox of modern dating in a world of constant connection. True power lies in deliberate withdrawal. An open book might sound like a virtue, but in attraction, an open book is too easily skimmed. You must become the novel he can't put down, the story whose next chapter he needs to discover. And that's the essence of the Mirage effect. It's not a cheap magic trick. It's a recalibration of how you present your value. It starts with one timeless truth about the male psyche, hidden in plain sight. To understand it, you have to step inside the male brain. It's not a space built for endless romantic scrolling. It's a machine shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. Its primary mode: problem solving, hunting, overcoming obstacles. In other words, pursuit. When a man is attracted to a woman, this ancient program ignites. She stops being just a person. She becomes a goal, a mystery, a reward worth earning. When a man is drawn to a woman, she becomes more than just someone he likes. She becomes a goal. Her attention, her closeness, her interest, those are the rewards his mind is wired to chase. Every interaction is a milestone, every step forward a small victory. The first smile, the first conversation, the first date. Each of these moments delivers a rush of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, the same one released when he wins a game, closes a deal, or solves a challenge he's been working on for hours. Dopamine doesn't just make him feel good, it motivates him to keep going. It whispers, "This is working. Don't stop. The prize is worth it." And this is where the worlds of masculine and feminine energy collide. His nature is fueled by challenge and reward. Your nature often seeks connection and security. You want reassurance, the safety of knowing the relationship is real. He wants the mountain to climb, the summit to conquer, because the view is only meaningful if the climb was worth it. But what happens when, with the best intentions, you give him everything too soon? You share your deepest fears by the second date. You're available at any hour. Every silence is filled with questions or confessions. You repeatedly affirm how much you like him. Without realizing it, you've handed him the treasure map, the master key, and the vault code all at once. You've removed the very process that keeps his attraction alive. The mountain he was meant to climb has turned into a small hill with a scenic elevator. And while the view at the top may still be beautiful, his brain doesn't feel the thrill of having earned it. The sense of achievement, the heartbeat of his desire, is missing. When that happens, the dopamine cycle breaks. His motivation fades. It's not that he stops liking you. He may still think you're wonderful, but deep down, his primal instincts are telling him, mission accomplished, target achieved, no more levels to unlock. Almost instantly, his focus shifts to the next challenge. You notice the change. He becomes cooler, slower to respond, less engaged. It feels personal, but it isn't. It's neurological. His curiosity has been fully satisfied before deep emotional attachment had time to take root. And here's where most women make the biggest mistake, thinking they need to give him more attention, more reassurance, more of their time. But the truth is the opposite. You need to give less, just enough to keep his mind engaged, his curiosity alive, and his dopamine flowing. Leave space for him to wonder, to reach for the next level, to feel there's still something to win. You must learn the art of pausing the game exactly when it's most exciting. Because if he wins it all on the very first night, why would he come back for a rematch? We've already uncovered that the male brain is wired for challenge. But the truth goes deeper, and it's even more fascinating. Attraction isn't just about challenge alone. It's also shaped by one of the most powerful forces in human psychology: scarcity. Think about it. Why does a diamond, nothing more than carbon under immense pressure, carry such a high price tag? Why do people camp outside stores for days to get their hands on a limited edition sneaker or bid outrageous sums for a rare piece of art? It's not because these things are always practical or useful. It's because they are rare. Their value doesn't come from their existence alone. It comes from the fact that not everyone can have them. Now, take that same principle and apply it to the most valuable resources you own. And no, I'm not talking about handbags, shoes, or anything that can be bought. I'm talking about your time, your attention, your emotional energy, your mental space. These are your diamonds, your limited editions, your one-of-a-kind masterpieces. And like anything precious, the more freely available they are, the faster they lose their value. Let me give you a story. Laura meets Mark. Their first date is magic, flirtation, laughter, deep conversation. Everything clicks perfectly. Laura goes home floating on air and, still glowing, sends him a message the moment she walks through the door. Just got home. That was truly wonderful. You're such an interesting guy. We have to do this again. Mark reads it, smiles, and thinks nice. The next morning, Laura sends another message. Good morning. How did you sleep? Hope you have a great day. Mark sees it on his way to a meeting and thinks it's sweet, but doesn't have time to reply. A few hours later, she sends him a meme that reminds her of their conversation. By afternoon, she's asking how his day is going. By evening, she's written a small novel of her thoughts and feelings. Now, is Laura annoying? No. Is she unkind? Absolutely not. But here's the subtle shift. Mark's subconscious begins to register something important. There's no mystery left. No space for him to wonder, does she really like me? No opportunity for him to take the lead. In his mind, she's served him the full course. Dinner, dessert, and coffee, before he's even had the chance to feel hungry. She has filled the mental space that would have allowed him to miss her, and here's the bitter twist. Mark starts to pull away, not because he doesn't like her, but because he's been given affection he didn't have to earn. The dopamine-driven chase that fuels attraction has been short-circuited. Sensing his distance, Laura makes the most common mistake. She doubles down. Maybe I wasn't clear enough, she thinks, and sends an even longer, more emotional message. She's trying to save the connection. But unknowingly, she's only speeding up its collapse. Eyes, everything okay? I feel like you're pulling away. With that one sentence, innocent on the surface, you may have just sealed the fate of the connection. Attraction doesn't vanish in a dramatic explosion. More often, it quietly suffocates under the weight of premature pressure. The moment you shift from being an intriguing presence to a source of stress, the dynamic changes. You're no longer the question lingering in his mind. You've become a problem he feels the need to solve or avoid. Most budding relationships don't collapse because of a lack of interest. They falter because we mistake constant communication for connection. We think showing affection means filling every corner of his digital world with our presence. But instead of becoming the melody that plays in his head long after you're gone, you fade into background noise. And then modern dating drops its biggest myth. If someone really likes you, none of this matters. That's a comforting thought, but it's false. Maybe it's true 2 decades into a marriage, when love has deep roots. But in the fragile early stages of attraction, when the flame is just beginning to catch. Every detail matters. That's the difference between a fire that warms for hours and a matchstick that fizzles out with the slightest breeze. At this point, you may feel cornered. You were genuine. You were open. You offered your heart without games, and it still didn't last. Or it burned bright for a moment and then slipped into the fog of indifference. And now, frustration sets in. You're tempted to give up and conclude all men are the same. Or maybe you consider building a wall, turning cold, guarded, and playing the role of a detached manipulator. Stop. Breathe. Because this moment, the one that feels like defeat, is actually the opening for transformation. Right here is where I reveal the missing piece. The truth at the core of the Mirage effect. And once you truly absorb it, everything changes. The secret isn't about pretending to be rare. It's not about faking business. It's not about deliberately ignoring him. Those are shallow games that crumble under real connection. The real shift happens in your mind. In the moment you stop asking, "Am I good enough for him?" and start asking, with full, unwavering conviction, "Is he good enough for my time?" Read that again. Let it sink in. Feel the difference in energy. This single question flips the power dynamic. You're no longer chasing validation. You are the validation. Your worth is no longer something he grants you. It's something you already own. From that place, your presence becomes magnetic. You're not seeking approval. You're the standard. And now, he's the one who has to prove he deserves the privilege of access to you. And here's where something crucial comes into play. The unfiltered truth is this: a man doesn't fall in love with a woman who is endlessly available. He falls in love with the woman whose availability feels like a reward. He's not magnetized by the woman who gives her time away freely. He's drawn to the woman whose life is already rich, with her own passions, goals, friendships, and personal growth, so that an hour with her feels like a privilege he must earn. Your attention is not a public service. It's not something anyone can claim simply because they have your phone number. Your attention is a dividend, a return on his investment. And that investment isn't just effort, it's reliability, consistency, genuine interest, and the ability to add value to a life that is already full and exciting without him. When you start living with this mindset, the shift is profound. You stop feeling the urge to fill every silence because you've learned to cherish your peace. You stop fearing delayed replies because you're busy living your life, not waiting for a notification. You stop unloading your entire life story on the first date because you understand that true connection is not a sales pitch. It's a slow, captivating dance. Here's the principle in one line. A man, or anyone, doesn't just value the time spent with you. He values the privilege of having earned it. He wants to feel chosen. He wants to know he passed the test. He wants to believe he gained access to something rare, not given freely to anyone who asks. If your presence is handed out without reason, without boundaries, it becomes ordinary. But if your presence is the reward at the end of a journey, it transforms into his most sought-after mission, his ultimate desire. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. This changes everything. But how do I actually do this without coming across as cold, arrogant, or aloof? The answer is far more elegant than you think. It's not about acting. It's not about wearing a mask or faking disinterest. It's about stripping away the layers of fear, approval-seeking, and neediness that have been placed on you. We're not here to create a false identity. We're here to reveal your most powerful, most authentic self. And that self is built on 3 key pillars, not rigid rulers to memorize, but a lifestyle to embody. The first pillar is the art of dosage. Imagine your attention and energy as a fine, expensive perfume. You wouldn't pour the whole bottle on someone. You'd apply just enough for them to notice, to lean closer, to want more. That's how your presence should work. Not overwhelming, but unforgettable. Not constant, but consistent enough to linger in his thoughts long after you've left. The language of value is subtle but powerful. It's not about telling someone, "I'm busy." It's about living in a way where your business is self-evident. When you speak, your words should carry the warmth of fulfillment, the richness of a life well lived. Instead of saying, "I haven't had time for anything," you might say, "I've been loving my pottery class lately." It's so grounding. This isn't boasting. It's simply sharing your reality. A reality so vibrant that it naturally commands respect. And here's the secret: value is felt, not forced. People sense when you're genuinely fulfilled versus when you're acting like you are. That's why the earlier pillars, dosage and a fulfilled life, matter so much. They form the foundation. The language of value is just the elegant frame that presents the painting. When a man encounters a woman who speaks about her life with genuine excitement, who shares experiences that are rich, layered, and deeply personal, not for approval, but because they matter to her, something shifts. His role stops being the source of her happiness and becomes the man who gets to witness it, and that shift creates desire. Remember, Unseen Psyche is not teaching games here. Games fade. This is about becoming magnetic by being deeply present in your own life. Here's the irony: when you're no longer seeking validation, you receive more of it. When you're not chasing attention, you attract it. Because the world can't help but notice someone who walks with quiet confidence, who values her time, and who treats her presence like a gift wrapped in purpose. So, let's stitch the pillars together. Pillar 1. The art of dosage. Give your time and attention sparingly, like a rare fragrance. End moments at their peak. Leave space for curiosity and longing. Pillar 2. A fulfilled life. Create a world so vibrant and engaging that you are already complete without anyone's presence. Fill your days with passions, projects, and people who nourish you. Pillar 3. The language of value. Speak from a place of abundance, not scarcity. Share your joys, not your voids. Let your words reflect a life you love. When these 3 pillars stand together, you transform from someone available to anyone into someone unforgettable to the right one. You stop being the open door in a crowded hallway and become the beautifully carved gate that only opens for those who earn the key. And the most beautiful part: this shift isn't about making someone fall in love with you. It's about falling in love with yourself so deeply that anyone worthy of you will feel it and rise to meet it. That is the magnetic mirage. That is how you become the treasure without ever chasing the seeker. Let him witness the light in your eyes when you speak about your passions, whether it's your career, your art, your weekend hikes, or the laughter you share with friends. Speak with the kind of certainty that doesn't seek permission to exist. Change your tone. Instead of asking, "When will I see you again?" say, "I enjoyed our conversation. You left me with something to think about." One begs for a response. The other offers a gift. The difference: power. You place the ball in his court, but from a place of grounded self-assurance, not need. When you embody the 3 pillars, the Mirage effect is no longer a trick. It stops being something you do and becomes the effortless byproduct of a rich, full life. You're no longer the woman waiting for a message. You're the woman whose presence he hopes to earn again. Think about how far you've come, from staring at a silent phone in frustration to understanding the very psychology of attraction. Together, we've stripped away the myths, challenged the outdated rules, and rebuilt your perspective from the inside out. And here's the truth: if you view the Mirage effect only as a way to keep him, you've missed its real treasure. Because it was never just about him. It was always about you. It's about choosing to put yourself first. About remembering that your passions, your dreams, your time, they matter whether anyone is watching or not. It's about falling in love with the life you've created so completely that any man who enters it is simply a welcome addition, not the source of your joy. The paradox of attraction is this: the harder you seek validation, the faster it slips away. The more desperately you chase attention, the more invisible you become. But the moment you stop searching and commit fully to your own path, you feel something behind you. Someone trying to keep up. Think back to the moments when you felt most alive and free. Maybe it was when you moved to a new city, diving into unknown streets with excitement. Maybe it was when you were immersed in a project that lit you up inside, or surrounded by friends who nourished your spirit. In those moments, you weren't scanning the horizon for attention. You were too busy tending to your own garden. And that's when the butterflies arrived on their own. That's when connection came naturally, without force, without pretense. That's the proof. The undeniable truth that the most magnetic state a woman can reach is her state of inner bloom. Because real attraction isn't a spotlight you aim at someone else. It's the light that radiates from within you. And when you live in that light, the world can't help but notice. It's an energy you radiate. The effortless glow that comes from living a life deeply rooted in passion. That's why the real aim isn't to make him constantly think about you. That will happen naturally, without effort, when you live in your own light. The true goal is to fall so in love with your own existence that the idea of giving up your peace, your time, or your standards for someone unworthy becomes unimaginable. His attention may be pleasant, but it's never the foundation of your happiness. It's simply an added sparkle, a bonus, not the source. So stop chasing butterflies. Instead, cultivate your garden, feed your passions, nurture your friendships, water your dreams until they overflow with life. Create a world so full of color, beauty, and vitality that the right butterflies are drawn to you and stay because they recognize its value. Some will visit briefly. Others will linger, but only the ones who truly see your worth will remain. In the end, the question isn't, how can I make him want me? The question is, am I living a life I would fiercely protect, even if it meant walking away from someone? Because in that answer lies the entire truth. That's where our path ends, not with a man's gaze on the horizon, but with the Fatima Morgana you've built within. A life so vivid, so unapologetically your own, that his desire for you becomes a mere detail in your greater story. We've explored tactics, psychology, and the delicate dance between closeness and distance. But in the end, the most magnetic thing you can ever be is a woman already fulfilled. But in the end, without tactics, games, or borrowed strategies, only one thing remains: you. You, standing before the mirror of your choices. And the next time you feel that pull, the urge to send a second message, to press the call button, to chase a security he cannot and will not give, pause. When you're on the edge of sacrificing your sleep, your work, or your peace to decode his behavior, stop. In that pause, don't ask what he's thinking. Ask something far more important. What would my future self say about this? The version of you who already built her dreams, who moves through life with purpose, who ends her day fulfilled, not because of his attention, but because of her own achievements. What if the greatest enemy isn't his silence, but yours? The silence of your intuition, whispering that you deserve more than crumbs. The silence of your dreams, fading each time you place someone else's needs above your own. Maybe we've been facing the wrong direction all along. Maybe the question was never, how can I make him stay? but rather, why do I keep believing I need his obsession to feel whole? Stop auditioning for a supporting role in his story. Start casting yourself as the lead in your own. Be selective. Be discerning. Not out of arrogance, but because the role of partner in your life is the most important one you'll ever offer. And it should be reserved for someone extraordinary. So next time you're staring at a blank screen, waiting for a message to fill a void, ask yourself, who's really missing? Him or the woman you became when you forgot your own value? Because real power lies in becoming the woman even you can't bear to lose. The woman who would never abandon herself for the sake of keeping someone else. When you live as her, whole, grounded, radiant, his presence becomes a complement, not a necessity. And the ones worthy of your light won't just notice it. They'll rise to meet it. I can now merge this with the earlier rewrites, so the combined script flows as one continuous, emotionally charged piece without any tonal breaks.